What's good, everybody? This is Mr. Composition, the MC that writes fiction, and this is another episode of The Composition. And today's episode is life lessons through troubleshooting your Mac. Now, let me give you some context of what ended up happening. So, one other time, on this particular MacBook, when you plug in the charger for the power, there's a little light that comes on. At some point in time, recently, that wasn't going on, and so I did like a SMC reset. Boom, that was good to go. So today, I am, seeing what's going on. It's at 14%, and it's not charging, and I'm just like, what in the world's going on? I'm like changing outlets in this particular changing plugs in this particular outlet. This outlet also has a extension cord, for more outlets to try, more plugs to try. And so I'm sitting there and I'm just doing an SMC reset, like nothing is making that power button come on. So I'm just like, you know what, it's an update maybe. I know the update's been telling me to update for some while, and the Mac itself was getting hot itself. So I was just all like, all right, let me just allow this to cool down. Let me try it again. And so at this point, I was already prepared to order a new MacBook charger, which I hoped at the time that was all that was wrong with it. Maybe I just need a new charger. Okay, cool. So I'm sitting there, still trying to do the SMC reset, like nothing's working. And so I go to plug in the power to my other laptop, Windows laptop, and I'm looking at the charger, which normally has a light to indicate that it's getting power as well, and I'm just all like, huh. And so at this point is when I decided to go on the opposite end of the room and plug it into the outlet over there, and the Mac started charging. And I'm sitting there now. Some of you may be wondering, well, why didn't you just do that from the jump? Well, this outlet was just working. Like at the time that I was having these issues, my phone had just finished charging overnight. My bed that I use is an air mattress, so I use that same plug as well. And so all of these were just working. So it didn't occur to me to actually try a different outlet until the very end, when the obvious thing was, okay, this just isn't getting power in general. And I tried a different device and it was not getting power, so it was the outlet. Now, the reason why I say life advice is because I could have saved a good few hours of just unnecessary worrying if I just from the get-go went and tried it in another outlet. And I realized that is something that we do in life in general. How often are you putting energy trying to get something working that has no power? Literally, it has no power. You're plugged into a dead outlet. And the solution for me was as easy of going to the opposite, into a working outlet. But what is that working outlet in life for you? What is the dead outlet for you? And what are you trying to power on that you would think to get a new charger? You think that it's something wrong with you. That was like my first thing, was to troubleshoot what is wrong with the Mac. By default, the first thing was to see what was wrong with the Mac. Now, of course, there's a lot of context that goes into this. When I was troubleshooting for people, when I was working call centers, it really depended on the context of what was going on. If sometimes it is that simple, sometimes it can be so simple that we skip it. We completely skip it. We don't even think to just be like, is it plugged in? Is it plugged into an outlet that works? Like, is it plugged in the right way on your device? Before we actually get to the actual device itself, or before you start looking at yourself sometimes, because if you're a person by default that automatically goes to what's wrong with me, I don't necessarily think that that is a good thing. It can be used in a good or a bad way, but I think just the context in general of by default starting with what's wrong with you, because in some cases, that depends on the context as well, because in some cases you do want to check yourself first. A lot of, like, sometimes you just are like, well, at least that's out the way. But in some cases, in this case, imagine if I would have went to the extreme and was gonna open up the bottom of it and all different types of things, which were thoughts that was going through my head. But a part of me was just like, just wait, just wait, just wait. Even when it came to ordering the charger, I was just like, let me not go ahead and proceed the checkout on this just yet. I was very, very optimistic that there was going to be a solution. But imagine if I did. Imagine if I would have went in what I probably would have messed up by going into it, when it didn't even have anything to do with the Mac. Nothing to do with the Mac. It had to do with the outlet. It had no power. It was not given any power. So, something to ponder on today. What are your outlets? And are any of them not producing any power? If you're listening to this on YouTube, drop a comment, hit the like button, hit the notification bell. If you're listening to this on Anchor, leave a voicemail. You can just hit record, drop that little voicemail, we'll play it. If you're listening to this on your favorite podcast platform, go ahead and add this to your playlist. And again, this is Mr. Composition MC that writes fiction. Make sure to check out the description for all new goodies. And my new single, Lift Us, is out. This is the second single of the year, just after Face Mask back in March. So I might get into some more details with that. But yes, thank you for listening to the composition. Peace.